So I started getting harassed around the time of the royal wedding. The moment that people knew I disagreed with some things about my sisters.
I grew up as an only child, and I wished I had siblings.
It's like everything. It's lie upon lie upon lie.
Hello to all my gorgeous, good-looking friends. You are tuning into TRG's series covering the Markle vs. Markle defamation lawsuit. If you are new to the channel, welcome. For those who are returning, thank you for coming back and supporting my work. I'm always grateful to have this like-minded community to discuss the beloved royal family and the cultural impact of its members on society, particularly in America. Okay, before I get into this, let me just put the disclaimer, I am not a legal expert. I am simply just reading what's in the public court files and giving my interpretation and observations/opinions. Please do your own research and come to your own conclusion. Samantha Markle is not giving up the fight. In her last attempt to suing Meghan Markle, Samantha has amended her complaint for damages in this defamation case. In this amended case, Samantha had removed the finding freedom portion and the claims that were made to Jason Kanoff, and I'm happy to see now they've included the Netflix series with holding Meghan accountable for the things that actually came out of her mouth. Will it be enough to convince the judge to move this forward to discovery and then on to a trial? I don't know. That's what we're going to find out going through this document. Before going to the details of the actual amended case, I would like to address this up front because I think so many people are getting this wrong. Samantha is not just suing for $75,000. If Samantha is successful, this is going to cost Meghan and Harry a lot more than $75,000 because Samantha is seeking punitive damages. Also included are any type of costs and front pay and back pay. $75,000 is not going to be enough to teach Meghan a lesson. The whole point of having punitive damages is to teach the other party a lesson. So it's going to cost them, and this will be decided by the court, which could end up in the millions. So please, guys, understand that this is more than $75,000 and that if she does win, it's going to be painful for these two. And whatever is being spun in the media about Samantha not doing this for money, in my opinion, is silly. Sure, I understand she wants to clear her name, but at the same time, she wouldn't be going through all this effort in order to retire $75,000. Then on top of that, you have legal costs. What lawyer is going to invest that amount of time if they did not see that there's a bigger piece to the pie in this case? Make sense? Okay, let's move on. So in the beginning of this amended case, they begin with an introduction, setting the stage for establishing what Samantha's perception of the relationship she had with Meghan and where it is now. So Samantha is stating that she had a very close relationship with Meghan despite the 17-year age gap. Meghan, on the other hand, as we all know, has a different perception of that, claiming that she grew up as an only child and she wished she had a sister or sibling. Now, neither perspective is wrong. Meghan could obviously have seen things differently as she was growing up because the mind of a child is very different from a mind of an adult. And by that time, the 17-year age gap, obviously there is a maturity level that is not on the same level. So I understand Samantha's perspective, but I also understand Meghan's perspective. So Samantha is assessing that when Meghan started dating Prince Harry, that's when her relationship with her sister became hostile and deteriorated. Now, I do question these bullet points, where in bullet point number 10, it says the first sign of Meghan's hostility towards Samantha was in 2017, the year when Meghan announced her engagement to Prince Harry. And it goes on to say that prior to the engagement, Samantha phoned her sister, Meghan, from time to time to talk and catch up with Meghan. The defining moment highlighting Meghan's unwarranted hostility towards Samantha occurred when Samantha called Meghan while Meghan was on a break from work at her home in Canada with her mother. When Samantha called Meghan hung up the phone immediately upon hearing Samantha's voice. That was strange as it had never happened before, and so Samantha called back right away and left a message. To this day, Megan has never returned Samantha's phone call. So here's where the recollections may vary. We have seen every one of the Markles tell a porky pie, okay? Let's put that out there.
Did your dad ever meet Prince Harry?
Yes, he did, and I'm not at liberty to discuss the details of that, but they did respectfully for both of them.
We now know that that's not true. Thomas Markle is on record saying that he never met Prince Harry and has only spoken to him a couple times on the phone and through a few texts.
So he's called you to find out the truth about these pictures, right?
Right.
And you've lied to him.
And I lied to him. I'm not proud of that, but I did. A month after the wedding, I went on the Pierce show and talked about the wedding. And actually on the Pierce show, I lied. I said they called me back. They were really concerned about me. And I said, go on your honeymoon, don't worry about me, I'll be fine. Well, that was all a lie. I thought that the natural thing would be to give me some kind of instruction or some kind of help or guidance. No one gave me any attention at all. Not that I need the attention, but I might need the help.
So after seeing Thomas Markle admit that he did lie on certain occasions, I'm challenged with believing the palace didn't help Thomas Markle when he was going through all this stuff. Per Jason Knopf's lawyers here writes, in the case of Thomas Markle, as referred to in the response to the defendant's third part 18 requests, Mr. Knopf was, at the Duchess's request, involved in providing advice and offering support with a view to protecting her father from media intrusion. That included many conversations with Mr. Markle and a number of interventions through IPSO and directly with publications to object to intrusions into Mr. Markle's privacy. Now, I'm bringing this up because if this does go to trial and there is accusations of Meghan lying, their defense team could turn around and say, well, Samantha and Thomas equally haven't been forthcoming. Also, too, Samantha had been emphasizing that her and her sister were close, when in reality, the last time that Samantha actually spoke to Meghan was back in 2015, before she even met Prince Harry. So the question then becomes, did something happen in 2015 for communication to completely stop for a year? Or was she talking to Meghan on such a sporadic basis, like once every year or once every 2 years? That would be important to know and understand, because then you could gauge, is the relationship really a relationship that is close, or is the reality that they drifted apart? I mean, people do drift apart. It happens. I think a key detail that I would like to know is that if Samantha spoke to Meghan in 2015 and that was the last time that she spoke to her, did Samantha try to get in contact with her anytime after that, before the news of Harry and Meghan were dating? I think that would be important to show that maybe Meghan wrote Samantha off way before Harry came into the picture. And perhaps maybe Samantha was irritated with her, because what I don't understand is that when the news broke on October 30th or October 31st, I think where all this went sideways is the timeline or the time frame to which Samantha gives an interview to The Sun, which posted this on November 2nd. Literally, the news broke about the relationship on October 30th. And I think by October 31st, the whole entire world knew who Meghan Markle was. The issue that I have here is that on November 1st, or literally within hours, Samantha is talking to the press, when you have to question, how much time did she really give Meghan in trying to contact her to ask her, what should I do about all the journalists that are calling my house? I think that's a logical and reasonable question to ask, considering how short of a window there was between the news breaking and then Samantha doing an interview with The Sun. Now, I'll be honest, yeah, The Sun didn't do any favors for Samantha, and yeah, they totally started this, but I think the judgment to go ahead and talk to the press soon after doesn't look good as far as the optics goes. I think from thinking rationally, if the relationship was hunky dory and everything was kosher between Samantha and Megan, why couldn't Samantha wait an extra day? It doesn't seem like she gave Megan enough time to get back to her. I mean, when news broke, I'm sure Megan had been busy. Now, I'm not excusing what Megan has done, but understanding the catalyst to all of this, if Samantha was the first one to reach out to the press out of not talking to Megan for a full year in such a short window of time, you have to wonder, is it really true that they were that close as sisters? To me, it doesn't appear so, but that's just my opinion. I guess the blame has to be put, and some responsibility has to be put on Samantha's shoulders, but not for all of it. I think the way that Megan has conducted herself in handling the situation just shows how malicious she is, which, how this all started, I think now at this point is irrelevant because Megan had behaved and conducted herself in a way that was truly defamatory. And that's where focus needs to be put on. So I'm going to stop talking about this, but I just wanted to raise this because, I'm looking at this from a very fair and balanced perspective. And you have to question everybody that's involved and their motives on why they're doing what they're doing and why this got to a place where it should never have gotten. And when you look at the Markle family, there's certain questions that are ultimately deflected, such as the question around where was Doria for a good portion of Megan's upbringing. So at age 11, Megan makes the decision to go live with Thomas.
Why was it you think she wanted to come and live with you?
I'm not certain. I think because I probably had a little more time for her.
So the question is, what was Doria doing? If Samantha was so close to Megan as she was growing up in her formative years, you would think that Samantha would know where Doria went if there was something suspicious going on. The fact that Samantha said she was busy with her own thing, how could you say that you were busy with your own thing, but at the same time so close to Megan? Do you follow me? I'm just playing devil's advocate on this. How is it that nobody can give us a straight answer? Even in this response, he's like, I'm not really sure. Like, what? I don't believe that we're being told the truth. And what I find interesting is that Tom Bauer spent a few days with Mr. Markle and could not get any information out about what Doria was up to for those years. I find that highly suspicious.
She had been with me for most weekends and during the week. So I said, do you want to come live with me? She said yes. I said, let's go look for a house. Let's go find a place. Together, we went and found a place.
Also, a few of these stories have been shifting. So I wouldn't say that Megan is 1,000% at fault for everything, but she is predominantly the one who's spearheading this smear campaign against her family. So the document continues on in its introduction, and bullet point number 13 says, Megan verbally invited Thomas Markle, the father of Samantha and Megan, only to disinvite him shortly before the wedding. Now, I'm not sure why that was inserted there because it's not elaborated on in the document. And I'm not sure if this has anything to do with Samantha. I believe that it was when Megan had asked Thomas Markle to stop talking to his children. Otherwise, I don't think he was going to get an invite. Perhaps maybe that was what was being referenced, but it was not expanded on in the document, which I think it should have been, just to show that Megan was actively trying to target Samantha and ice her out. Now, moving towards the end of this introduction, where I think this could be a possible error, but not too sure, and let me give you my reasoning. So, bullet points 14, 15, and 16 for what I remember had actually happened in the timeline from looking at all the various sources. So in bullet 14, it says, prior to the wedding, Thomas Markle suffered 2 heart attacks. Now, we all know that. And he suffered these heart attacks like days before Megan was getting married in 2018. And that was around May 15th is when he went into the hospital. So the next bullet point says, around that time, so if you're reading this like with fresh eyes, not knowing anything about this case, you would think that around that same time, around May 2018, the media discovered Samantha and began contacting her for interviews. Samantha accepted the requests for interviews and made glowing and positive statements about her sister, Megan, and her upcoming wedding. So I challenge this because it is well documented that Samantha had been giving interviews back in 2016 when it first was announced that Meghan had been dating Prince Harry. So what's really confusing here is that it says around that time, the media discovered Samantha and began contacting her for interviews. So are they saying that she was discovered in 2018? Because that wouldn't be accurate. Also, it's not really clear on which interview she said that her words were twisted, because there were quite a few interviews where she had been saying that her words were twisted from the very beginning. It would be helpful if they clarified that. I'm hoping that this is an error that the lawyer made and we'll need to amend it. If Samantha's out there watching this, you may want to take a look at that. As you guys know, I'm not in contact with Samantha and I have no engagement with this case. So then again, on the next page, bullet number 18 says, it was after the interview of Samantha that Meghan started her smear campaign and ongoing deluge of distorted facts and stories, complete with fake quotes about and by Samantha. So the question I have is, which interview are they referencing? And I think that's a huge piece that's missing from this opening statement. I checked to see if I was missing any additional documents or attachments, and I haven't. So it is confusing to read this because it doesn't reference exactly what she is stating was the tipping point for this relationship to go sour. Apparently, this so-called interview, which there were a few interviews that were emphasizing that the media had twisted her words, and as Samantha was saying, that there were stories that were coming out saying that she was bashing Meghan, which was not the case, and she defended that emphatically. I think a rational thinker would be asking the same question to understand where the resentment began and how it snowballed into this full-on smear campaign of Samantha. What is important about this paragraph, and this is the key to the entire thing, is that Meghan never once responded or contacted Samantha to say, hey, you know what? I don't like what you're doing. Can you please stop? I will give you further instruction on how you should handle the media, or here's something that you could say, or how about I go ahead and put out a statement telling everybody to back off contacting my family. She did none of that, but instead worked behind the scenes. What we have now come to learn about Meghan is that she likes to throw out grenades and then run away. This woman will never put herself in a position where she is confronted. Case in point, you could see how insecure and terrified Meghan was when she had to confront Catherine at that walkabout. It's 1000% the reason why she's not going to the coronation. She is too much of a coward to face the family. She's too much of a coward to face the British public. And she knows that if she hides away, she's not going to have to endure any of that pain. But she's making her husband do it again. She's the type of person who wants to keep her hands clean while watching others suffer. So now Harry's going to be on a global stage having to confront his family members, the public, all while Meghan is hidden away, feeling safe and secure. It's a cowardly thing to do, but this is Meghan. This is what she does. In this situation, she didn't want to contact her sister to confront her and say, hey, quit it. Stop doing this, because she would have to deal with her sister telling her that, I'm your family, and getting sucked into feeling obligated to having to invite them, which would put this fake facade that she has built to test, which she couldn't have anybody ruining that. So it was in her best interests, at least in her mind, she thought, to distance herself and cut them off so they don't continue being a headache or inconvenience to her. But sadly, this has backfired. So, in this amended complaint, they have kept the focus on the Oprah interview, but took out anything about finding freedom, which I think she had to do because the judge had dismissed it. But I'm not sure why she couldn't mention it as being a part of this entire campaign on the external basis. But anyhow, in the Oprah interview, in this document's claiming these 4 statements that Meghan had made, that one, she grew up as an only child, then emphasizing that her and Samantha were not close and didn't know her. And the last time that she saw Samantha was, 2 decades ago. And then finally mentioning or actually stating that Samantha changed her name only after she had started dating Prince Harry. Now, let's not forget the 4 elements or criteria that need to be met in order to prove defamation. 1, a false statement must be made. 2, that same statement needs to be published to a third party. 3, it was done with negligence. And then 4, what were the damages or harm that caused this person by this false statement? Now, it only takes one false statement that satisfies all 4 of those criteria in order to win a defamation case. It really doesn't matter if Meghan felt like she grew up as an only child. Also, if Samantha thought they were close, but Meghan didn't feel that way, that's really a subjective feeling versus fact that can be proved. Where I think there's a strong place in this case is the fact that Meghan said she changed her name back to Markle only when she started dating Harry, which we all know is not true. The question is, has this statement caused her any damage or harm, and was it done maliciously and out of negligence? I believe that it is, because when you look at bullet number 35, this is really what the case is about. So it says, it is of importance that rather than interpreting each word said or each false set of words, it is important to look at the whole effect of all that was said in the interview together. According to Meghan, she was betrayed by Samantha, who Meghan claimed that she really did not know. Meghan always wanted a brother or sister, and the implication, if not the specific statement, was that Samantha was someone who Meghan did not know well enough to comment. The context of these statements made by Meghan was that Samantha was falsely portraying that she was Meghan's sister, all so that Samantha could gain wealth and fame pretending that she was Meghan's true sister. Now, I wish that bullet number 35 was stressed a little bit more, because it wasn't just the Oprah interview, and it wasn't just the Netflix series. It wasn't just Finding Freedom. It wasn't just all the media puff pieces that were put out by the Sussex team. It was the context of all of it combined together that took the serious toll on Samantha, because of the way globally the world was being brainwashed to think by the propaganda of Meghan Markle. And if that wasn't enough, you add in the Netflix documentary series to where Meghan then took Samantha's daughter and weaponized her relationship against her and told lies. So I'm not sure why that was not elaborated on more as part of this campaign that Meghan had in order to maliciously destroy Samantha's life in all respects, from her health to her finances, even to her safety, because she was angry at Samantha for speaking her mind and telling the truth. This is where I see the maliciousness and the harm that Meghan has caused on purpose. And since Meghan is all about storytelling, the overall gist to the Netflix series and everything else that she has been doing deceitfully behind the scenes is trying to weave this narrative of lies, maliciously orchestrating a campaign to make Samantha look like a clout-chasing, greedy, fame-seeking person who is riding off Meghan Markle's success and her connection to the royal family. And then on top of it, make her sister look like she is a racist by including Christopher Boozy into the Netflix series, which Samantha does put into this claim that Christopher Boozy of Bot Sentinel was hired by Meghan to go ahead and also add on to the negative and lies by spinning this narrative, making Samantha look like a really horrible person. Now, I do have a bit of concern with Bot Sentinel being mentioned here with the direct assertion by Samantha that he was retained by her in order to, do a relentless hate campaign against not only Samantha Markle, but also against all of Meghan's critics. We know for a fact that Meghan and Harry pay quite a bit of people in order to attack others online. We know this. They're extremists. You hear them loud and clear online. And we know some main ones. The challenge that we may have here is finding the money trail. We do know that they were working together. It's just a question of, did Meghan cover her tracks? More than likely, because we have established that Meghan likes to keep her hands clean. So who hired Boozy to do this on behalf of Meghan and Harry? I highly doubt that Meghan and Harry's name is attached anywhere. But I will bet that if discovery gets to happen, then Samantha Markle needs to look into Archwell's finances to find out if some of the money that was given to grants that were given to organizations that do carry out services such as campaigns online like URL Media is where that money may have gone and passed over into Christopher Boozy's hands. Again, this is why Archwell should be investigated, because they are putting tax IDs that don't exist in the IRS system. Archwell is claiming that this is a 501c3 company that they're giving $125,000 to, but when you look it up in the IRS system, it doesn't exist. So let me ask this question. Why are they giving $125,000 to a private company that is set up for profit? What services could they be asking for? So this organization that Meghan and Harry give to only serve Black and brown people, meaning opportunities as well as creating content under the guise of uplifting communities of color. But God forbid you throw in some white people in there and say that this is a company that supports white people, then you'd be considered racist. But that's another topic for a different day. This, however, does provide services around creating content for their clients that pushes out certain narratives. So where would the idea of creating an army of Black and brown people who defend Meghan Markle for some cash, could it be possibly coming from URL Media in order to push out Meghan's bullshit narrative? I think it's worth exploring. I think it's also worth exploring the donations from the Sussex Squad that were given to Boozy during the time he was doing all this work for Meghan and Harry should be also investigated to find out where that money actually really was coming from, which I suspect came from Meghan and Harry. So I think what's going to be important for this case is understanding Meghan and Harry's omni-channel for marketing and the various outlets that were used and worked in tandem with one another to push out these false narratives that were malicious, damaging, and hurtful to Samantha. Meghan understands the power of the echo chamber, and she has weaponized it to maliciously attack Samantha without getting her hands dirty. So the document continues to talk about the series and why it was defamatory. So essentially, this Netflix series was set up to undermine Samantha. Its tactics by using Ashley and bringing her in and going against her mother, as well as serving as a way to also trash the royal family. So technically, this documentary series killed two birds with one stone with the legal lawsuits that both of them had going on, such as the security and then also with Meghan's family drama. And this was the Harkles' way of getting their side out and addressing all the criticism that they had received, as well as backpedaling some of the stories that they had put out there initially with the Oprah interview. It's a fair assessment to say that Meghan is continuing to participate in and perpetuate lies around her family as well as her upbringing by blatantly not acknowledging and flat out lying on camera, not only about her own family, but also the royals. She managed to suck them in and then convince her mother on top of it too to go along with this charade and facade. It's imperative that the courts must look at the big picture around Meghan's behavior and her actions that not only pertain to her family, but also to the other relationships that she has completely destroyed. If, you're paying attention and not have been hiding under a rock, then you would know to some degree the trouble that Meghan has caused entering into the royal family. Look, there's a lot more serious things than Meghan Markle in this world, and probably that's why nobody has been paying attention to the danger and threat that she is posing to people by what she is doing with no consequence. And Samantha makes it very clear here in bullet number 63 by saying the dangerousness of the false narrative can be seen in the fact that Samantha sought and obtained an injunction for protection against stalking in Polk County, Florida, against one of Meghan's overzealous fans. So that's Samantha, but think about the threats that Meghan has brought on to the royal family, to which they had to increase their safety and their security. And it's all because of what Meghan Markle has been doing with these false narratives designed to gaslight and purposely, as well as maliciously, attack the family because she didn't get what she wanted. Now, I know that this case does not involve the royal family, but in my opinion, I think it needs to involve the royal family because of this patterned behavior that Meghan has to use the media and weaponize it to cause division, disruption, and harm to others, to which needs to be called out. It's not okay that she's doing this to her own family, and the fact that she has a global platform, she's not being responsible with it. In bullet point number 80, towards the end of this document, I think they summarize it up in a nutshell that Meghan engaged in such defamatory by implication conduct, knowingly, intentionally, and with actual malice, fully aware that she was doing such with the plan to damage, injure, and harm Samantha's reputation and credibility. And this is spot on. If you think about all the times Meghan has implied things such as the royal family is racist, and you look at how much damage has stemmed from that because of the control she has with the media and weaponizing it to push out these narratives that were designed to inflict harm and cause division. The vicious attacks that she puts on people if she doesn't get her way or if she doesn't like what people are saying needs to stop. And I think that bringing her to court and sitting her down and having a judge tell her to her face that she is not above the law needs to happen. And it is my opinion the only way that Meghan will realize that she was in the wrong is by being found guilty and being sued for an ungodly amount of money to a point where she is bankrupt. Now, I don't think it'll get to that point. I think that the impact will be hard on Meghan and Harry, but I don't think they'll be left with nothing. But I think it will damage her perception of having all this power and being able to do whatever she wants because she has money. You take away the money, then you lose the power. And then once you lose the power, you lose the privilege of having a public platform, which is what is the most dangerous thing here at this moment, is the fact that she has been abusing her public platform to cause harm, to further her selfish agenda, as well as retaliate on people that she doesn't agree with or wants to make disappear. Think about the danger that she poses should she get into any type of political office. That can't happen because of how malicious she has shown herself to be. Overall, in my opinion, I think the case should be given a shot because there's so much that needs to come out. I just wish that there was a little more substance added to the document. I mean, she should have really have honed in about the campaign that she is aware of that was orchestrated by her PR machine. Here's Samantha not too long ago talking to Tucker Carlson about this very same campaign that I believe should have made it into this document.
Women should use their voices. You know, she wants women to use their voices. What about your sister in a wheelchair that you're paying PR to keep quiet and to discredit? No, seriously,
Yeah.
my voice. And she can't say that wasn't the case, because all of the publications under the hub of her PR firm, and we all know who they are, none of those articles go out about family without her approval or her input. And I found out again from the attorney in London that there was an entrenched media agenda against me. You know, she talks about the lies out there, the lies that I believe she was very much behind and very much orchestrated about family, to discredit us and to keep us quiet.
But I think both of them are turning into lost souls at this point. I don't know what they're looking for. I don't think they know what they're looking for.
To be honest, I think there's a lot that we don't know, and the only way that the truth is going to come out is if this goes to trial. What concerns me, though, is all the politics behind the court system in the United States. I just hope that there is no funny business to get this case dismissed. Sure, I think all parties involved have some responsibility in contributing to this mess, but we won't know unless somebody sits them down in a place where they have to be honest. Otherwise, you know, in theory, the judicial system should take effect and there be serious consequences. So forcing these folks to actually tell the truth. I think we all deserve that, considering the mess that has been created by Meghan Markle. What do you guys think? Definitely leave your thoughts below. As always, I will be back soon with more content, but until then, please be safe and I will talk to you later. Bye.
Such a fraud.